Welcome, everybody. For those of you that I haven't met, my name's Tyrone Curtis. I'm the founder and director of Activate Entertainment, and I'm co-presenting this event with Adam, the Australian Teachers of Media. So first of all, thank you all very much for being here and braving the weather. A particular welcome to all our industry people, in particular Tracy Vieira, who is the CEO of Screen Queensland. So thank you very much for coming. I just found out that Tracy actually has a degree in high school film and TV teaching. So very cool to have her here. Also, a big thank you to all of our education sector as well. So thank you very much for the support. So the idea of tonight is very much kind of born from the idea of trying to connect industry professionals with the education sector through my work with Activate and also my work with Adam, particularly last year when we were presenting workshops and getting to know a lot of teachers. There seemed to be a little bit of a disconnect between what was happening in schools and what actually happens in industry. So I thought it might be fun to get all of those people in the same room, give them something to talk about, and then just kind of see what happens. So it's all a little bit of a test, so bear with us. We're also streaming live across the world at the moment. Way to throw ourselves in the deep end. And we've got a hashtag happening, which is hashtag AdamLive. So all of those people that are streaming at home, they can hashtag in, and we can ask some questions at the end. So the way that tonight's going to work, we have 3 different presenters, and tonight's focus is going to be on directing. So we have 3 different directors at 3 different stages of their career. So Michael O'Halloran, who I guess we would say is emerging, early career. And Phoebe Hart, who's been around for quite some time, and Graham Hattrick, who's been around for just a little bit longer. So what we'll what we'll do is I'll give each facilitator a quick intro, and then I'm going to let them just talk about themselves, talk about their journey, where they've come from, where they are to now, and they've also got a few little clips that they're going to show and dissect as well. So that's pretty much the way that we're running it tonight. Yeah, cool. I think that's pretty much it. For those of you not familiar with Activate Entertainment, we're an education house which is focused on introducing young people in particular to content creation and filmmaking using devices that they're familiar with. So we have these funky little things called iProduction Studios, and we teach filmmaking from concept to delivery just using the one device. So we work a lot in the education sector and also with libraries and festivals delivering a whole heap of cool programs. So mainly focused on filmmaking, but recently started dabbling in the world of augmented reality and storytelling as well. So that's who we are, that's who we do, what we do. For industry people that are here and they're not familiar with Adam, so the Australian Teachers of Media, Reece Cassidy is the president of the Queensland division, and they are kind of like the peak body for film and TV teachers in Queensland in regards to film and media. So that's who we are, that's what we're doing. So I will introduce Michael. That's his picture. So I've just, so I didn't have to hassle you guys, I've just stolen bits and pieces of you off the internet. So I'm going to give Michael a quick introduction. Michael's true passion is for cinema, a lover of movies, big and small. All of Michael's work in the commercial world has been in support of his own ambitious productions, including award-winning comedy thriller, The Dossier Case, and new monster film, Break the Rock, both of which he produced and directed. Michael's infectious passion for film and ambition to create entertaining cinema fuels everything he does as he prepares to shoot his first feature film and sci-fi mind-bender, Space Time, at the end of the year, while continuing to develop a feature version of Break the Rock. So I will get you to welcome Michael O'Halloran. And I need you to talk into this.
Oh, you? Okay,
yeah,
that's
thank
fine.
you.
All right.
You can sit on the stool.
All right. Hello. That sounds all right. Sorry, I'm going to be that guy who looks at notes because it's going to be very waffly, and I thought this will minimize the waffle. So yes, I am an example of someone who's on the early part of the ladder, an emerging filmmaker. I would certainly not say that I've made it as such. But I have been a part of some wonderful projects and had the great pleasure of working with a lot of really fantastic people. I've done a lot of work that I'm proud of, and then there's a lot of work that I'm not so proud of. But we're talking obviously about forming better connections with schools and industry, and how to best support up-and-coming filmmakers. And I think I was a filmmaker who was definitely fortunate to receive some really great support, particularly during my high school years. So I figure it would be worthwhile talking quite a bit about what I was doing then, especially. I wanted to be a director since before I was born. I'm pretty sure before I knew what filmmaking was, before I was aware that there was a director, I wanted to do it. I got my hands on the old 8mm camera, or the neighbor's old 8mm camera, made a film when I was like 5. That was me as Clark Kent going behind a pole and emerging as Superman on the other side. That was when I first really understood the idea of editing in camera. I had Dad hold the camera and I ran behind and was pretty pleased with myself as a 5-year-old. I kept making movies as a kid, very much inspired by a lot of the films that were big at the time. Crazy for Star Wars, crazy for Indiana Jones, crazy for Back to the Future, all those sort of films. Always, every school holidays, I'd put all of my pocket money into making costumes out of cardboard and all that sort of stuff. Ruined 2 train sets recreating the end of Back to the Future 3, running it off the side of a trampoline, stuffed sparklers into the front of the funnel, let that go. Mum was pretty impressed. So that went all the way through primary school, just learning by trial and error, making mistakes, and hopefully feeling like each one sort of got better and better. When I got to high school, they didn't have a film and TV class. There was no real film and TV pathway there at all. But I wasn't going to take that. So in my school, I went to A.B. Patterson on the Gold Coast. You could take one art subject, had to take a science subject, and then English, math, and modern history, and all the rest. And so I started the campaign to drop science in favor of getting to have art and drama, thinking that art plus drama equaled film, which it almost did, and they actually went for it. I was one of the few students who was allowed to drop science in favor of having 2 art subjects. And then I really pushed my luck by asking to have after-school sport dropped in favor of going home to edit my films. The secret, I think, was that as I went from primary school to high school, I was looking at other films and I was thinking, like, what's different about my films what is Star Wars doing so well that I'm not? And I figured, it's because I keep putting 10-year-olds in my films. I've got to get actors. So I went to my high school teachers and I started casting them in films. And so weirdly, when I said, can I go and edit that film that you're in? They said yes. So it worked out pretty well. And that's actually a tradition that I've stuck to today. I've been putting my high school teachers in the films that I'm making still. And they're pretty good sometimes. So yes, I got to make a couple of films throughout school that at least one I thought was okay, and put it in a few festivals and things, and it got an award or 2, and put it in one that was actually for university students only, and pretended, because I knew I wanted to go to QUT, I looked up who the lecturer was and I entered this competition pretending I was already at QUT and put the name of the lecturer down and won and beat the uni students, which is pretty cool for grade 12. So I finished high school with a school that had been incredibly supportive because they let me change the plan, change the curriculum, make sure that I was getting what I needed, especially because I wasn't going to shut up and really was desperately going after this goal of being a filmmaker. I don't think they could say no to me, and I was there saying, I had to have, at the time you had to have a film to get into QT. I think, like now, I think it might just be OP, and I'm not sure, but it was a folio-based application, and my argument was, I need to have a short, need to have one I'm proud of, that's what I need to get in, and the school listened and let me do it. Again, it helped that they were all in the films, but like just having that support and having that flexibility was incredible, and it taught me a couple of really good lessons that turned out to be very, very helpful as I went on. So going to QT, I met some fantastic people, all of whom I still work with today, and as will be a bit of a theme as I talk, I guess sort of one thing led to another. Like you really meet someone and that person leads to this job there and that job becomes that, and then you get to do something else and then you drag that person along with you. Very much, going to uni, meeting the people that I wanted to work with, being in this group of film people for the first time, particularly at my school, being the film guy, getting to go there and meet other people like me, was pretty fantastic. So we all banded together in our desire to make films. And then after finishing university, we set out making what would be my first big short film, The Dossier Case. It's another S, but that's all right. Yeah, so this was, I was still, and still to this day, burning with the love for the big Spielberg-y, fun, action, adventure-y kind of films. Maybe not the most sensible filmmaker coming straight out of uni, decided to make a short that was set all in the US and Cuba, centering around the CIA with a big car chase in the middle, which, relative success. The lead was my high school drama teacher, and he did his best with the American accent. It's not brilliant, but I will show you the trailer. So this is a film that we made straight out of high school, and I'll talk quite a bit about what we did and how we did some of the stuff we did and how it was beneficial to the next thing we did.
Havana? Jesus, Ed, what do I know about Havana?
What did you know about Saudi Arabia? Plans change.
You want Saudi Arabia?
It's not a baseball card. You can't just trade it. It's your mission. Go, get the facts. Spy on the meeting. Keep your mouth shut.
Hey, man!
Yes, I know why you're here.
We have a possible weapons deal, a missing agent, a meeting with no attendees, and a Cuban street vendor who seems to know more than anyone in your department.
We'll sort it out, sir. Find out where this clown is handing over those pictures. And get there first.
Come on! A briefing from a street merchant?
You break my camera, I break your face, eh?
This is a goddamn circus.
You got the communists? The Nazis, maybe?
Harry!
When someone shows you to leave them alone, next time, do it.
I want our best agents taking care of this trouble.
It's not on, oh, it is not on, yeah, it is.
What the hell are you doing with that?
Very cool.
So that was The Dossier Case. So yes, we bit off far more than we could chew with that one. It's, oh, you fixed A. Yep. That's good.
That's how we roll.
So that was a film that we made over 4 years, pretty much straight out of university, desperate to make big, silly Hollywood-looking films with nothing. I raised the money myself just working at a video store and at a bakery all day and night. And we basically split the film into 4 parts, made a quarter of it. Then I went back and worked a lot at the video store, and then went back and made the next quarter, and did that 4 times, and then, well, a 5th time for the score as well, because I insisted on a full orchestra score, which became a 5th film in itself. And each time we made it, it got bigger and better. You can very much tell what was from the first quarter and then what I think is from the last quarter. Because as we were making it, people would see little bits, and I'd cut another little trailer, and then someone would be like, hey, this looks really cool. What are you doing? What's happening with it? And I'd say, well, we're shooting more. Do you want to come help? And then they said yes. So yeah, the early stuff that we shot is all the things in the office, then anything that's in the Cuban bar, and then by the time you get to the car chase and the Cuban streets, that's towards the end, so suddenly you start seeing crane shots and more complicated, interesting gear. We got to film at Movie World for all of our Cuban street scenes. You see a little bit of that there when they're having the fight over the briefcase. That's the little area that's set up like the street from Casablanca. If you've been to Movie World, they let us film there, which was pretty awesome. And so it was very clear, one, that the result of being really passionate and not taking no for an answer and just bashing away, and also the response that people had that I was, raising all the money myself and doing it all myself. The crew went from 8 of us to like a crew of the end credits are like 200 names long. It's kind of insane, all in service of what is a fairly ridiculous film. But it did teach a good lesson in what could be done by pulling everyone along, and it continued the lesson of that I'd very much had at school, of by working within what you had and then just pushing a little bit harder, a little bit further, and appealing to people to bend the rules a little bit for you, give you something else for free or cheap or whatever, what you could achieve. So completing dossier case, we then, actually maybe I should check, am I blasted past my 15 minutes or?
No, you're okay.
I've got no sense of time.
No. Oh, yeah. It's not bad.
All right. All right. Is there an AD in the room? Okay, I'll move along a little bit faster. So in the making of this, the other thing that came out of it was that I started to get some corporate work. The guys that I had gone to uni with that I drafted onto the film as a DOP and things, they were getting assistant camera work, and then they dragged me along to be assistant to them as well. And then I met people, and then that led to a slow climb to ultimately start directing things, which was just the best thing in the world to be able to say, hi, I'm a director, and yes, they pay me for it. So that was another one of those, okay, so that if you do that right and do really well at that, that'll lead to this door opening, and if you're doing the right thing at the right time there, that might lead to that door opening. And so, yeah, very quickly I was directing low-budget corporate productions, little crappy commercials and things like that, but getting tons of experience. I do have the corporate reel, but I don't know if I want to show it. I don't know. I feel like
we might show Break the Rock.
Let's skip it and go straight to Break the Rock. Yeah, I think so. It hasn't been updated in a while either.
It looks like corporate stuff.
It looks like corporate stuff. Yeah, it's corporate stuff. And so yes, we finished Break the Rock. Finished Dossier Case. It does quite well at some festivals, wins some awards and all that thing. And then we start talking about the next thing. So Dossier Case was a 40-minute runtime, mainly because I've always wanted to do features. I've always thought in terms of features, never really thought in terms of short films. Had enormous trouble thinking about narrative in a short way, which I don't think is a bad thing. I think that there are great short filmmakers, and I think that there are great feature filmmakers. I think there are great music video makers. I don't think you have to be all of them. So I've never seen it necessarily as a bad thing. It's just a very expensive thing. So I was hell-bent on making a feature. And so we kind of looked at what we had at the end of Dossier Case. We'd had some fantastic support from great people, and they'd all seemed to want to come back and do it again. So we developed 2 scripts. One was the big ultimate pie in the sky if we had $5 million, $10 million project. And then the other was the how could we possibly do this for $10, on the same, I guess, sort of model as Dossier Case. And we just started trying to make both of them. So the idea for the big budget one is Break the Rock. Now that's an Australian monster movie. Learnt to not set it in the US after Dossier Case. But we decided we couldn't do this one for nothing. We couldn't get away with it on the tiny little beg, borrow, and steal approach. So what we decided to do, the fashionable thing, and make a concept trailer for it, which seems to be very popular at the moment. Everyone's making concept trailers. But we decided to go all out and make one that looks like it's the finished film, or as close as we could get it with just the beg, borrowing, and stealing. So I'm going to show the new version of that one now. This one actually hasn't been released properly yet. So you get to see it. It's gone through a few different versions, and really it's the big challenge with this one has been because it's a concept trailer, the film isn't made. We have written the script, gone through and said, right, well, what would the trailer be if we were to make the trailer for this film? Which has meant that the first time I looked, I'm like, this is very hard. Let's try it again. So this is the new version. And when lights or whatever.
Look, I don't know if you've noticed, but we're really not fitting in round here.
What the hell is this?
These are theatre people from Brisbane.
It's King Lear performed in a cave in the outback. What do you want from me? It's odd.
Let me introduce you to our talented director, Simon.
It's kind of the guy in charge, officer.
Sergeant.
I'm the guy in charge.
We start rehearsals tomorrow, and in my opinion, no one is ready for that. What now? What's your story, then?
We think we saw something.
Just keep moving calmly.
Dust on, guys. It's gonna get pretty wild.
Dust storm. We're in a forest.
What the hell was that thing?
Look, country does funny things to people. Sometimes the open space, they play tricks with your mind.
Something's out there. Seriously.
I'm starting to put it together. There's a giant rock hidden underground. I found it, and I think it's what's causing this fog.
What are they doing?
It's looking for us. You ready?
I don't want to be the one to say we've got a monster in this town. We've got a monster in this town.
You're still thinking about the play. It's over, Simon.
So, what do we do?
I tell you what we do.
Maybe.
Very good.
So that was our concept trailer for Break the Rock. So that was very much the same approach as Dossier Case, just trying to be bigger and better and a bit more polished going forward. So we've only just recently finished that, and the plan is to now try and push that to anyone who'll pay attention and see if we can get some money to make it. And then not being one, as I say, to put all my eggs in one basket, we've also been madly developing an ultra low budget, do it for nothing feature. And that one we're going to start making at the end of the year. So, which, that's Space Time, the one that Ty mentioned in my bio. So, I guess I know Ty had said that he wanted us to sort of talk about an actual scene and break it down, and I'm not so sure that I want to do that for a couple of reasons. One, I'd be tempted to point out all the problems. But I think, if anything, the point of what I have been saying and what I have learnt is that there is a like the path for me and the way to foster, like as a teacher, like looking at someone like me who's just dying to make something, doesn't matter what, just let me play with a camera, is really finding what you can do to let them sort of do it their own way. There's a story I will tell, which I love, that Robert Zemeckis tells from when he finished film school at UCLA. He was lucky enough to get a meeting with George Lucas, director of Star Wars, and got to show him his grad film. And he goes to George and shows him the film, and George says, so you want to be a big-time filmmaker, huh? And Robert Zemeckis says, yeah, George, I do. How do I do it? And George says, somehow. I feel the truth is there's no path to success, even my very relative bottom of the ladder where I am level of success, and it's different for everyone, and who knows if it'll be successful, and who knows what it will lead to. Maybe we'll never make Break the Rock, but that might lead to getting something else off the ground, or that might lead to another opportunity somewhere and somehow. So if there's one thing that I would say to be a good teacher to an aspiring filmmaker is very much to foster the somehows and the playing around and the experimenting and really letting them find their own way to make the best work that they can and to make the whatever mistakes they need to make, no matter how many trains they destroy or bad American accents they make you do. And that's